It's been a long time, for me, since there has been anything of noteworthy from the Fate side of things at Type Moon. As a huge Fate fan since like 2017, I prided myself on knowing Fate would have a banger out every year that I could count on. But it seems that the past 3 or so years, it's been nothing but either bad or inconsistent at best. From uninspired recap-like promotional films of Fate Grand Order, which has been more of a mess and avoided by most people, to strange decision-making from Type Moon on localization that thankfully, as of late, has turned around with Witch on the Holy Night and Tsukihime Remake being localized later next year. To put it simply, the Fate franchise proper has needed a break, especially seeing as their last great adaptations came out years ago now. Well, viewer, thankfully, Type Moon has blessed us here today with an Episode 0 and a future series based on the Fate Strange Fake series that has, my opinion, blown away my expectations. May not be perfect, we'll get to that later, but Fate Strange Fake is in the makings to be the first big hit for this franchise since Heaven's Feel and Absolute Demonic Babylonia. For those not in the know, Fate Strange Fake actually started as an April Fool's joke, but was so popular and well received that it would eventually get its own series. This is nothing new to Fate, as Fate Type Redline also began as a joke, for example, but evolved into something more. This also comes from the creator of Baccano, a fan favorite series, and he also did Durarara, but we don't mention that. Not around these parts. Fate Strange Fake is a story set around 2009, focusing on a Grail War that was imperfectly copied from the third Holy Grail War in Fuyuki. Yes, that one. After the previous Grail War, an American organization with separate Magi from the London-based Mage Association obtained data from Fuyuki's ritual and planned their own version. After a span of 70 years, they selected Snowfield as the sacred land for their Grail War. However, their replication was flawed, resulting in the absence of the Saber class. Oh my god, I'm so sad. And the summoning of unconventional servants due to the blurred definition of what it means to be a hero. The Mages Association has sent Rongal and his pupil, Faldius, to investigate the city and the status of the war. Faldius, a spy from the US organization, has Rognal sniped upon arrival, despite knowing that Rongal was simply a puppet. He announces that their Holy Grail War has been in development and that it is real, which causes an uproar at the clock tower and wishes to advertise the project to the association. What I loved about the entire premise is that Fate is returning to what it feels like something we'd see from Fate Stay Night. After all, it takes place in the same timeline as the original Stay Night trilogy, 5 years later. It even acknowledges events from the Stay Night timeline, like how Shiro is the creator of relics. Another thing I loved about this special is that it showcases a return to the way Fate Zero's masters and servants are constructed. There is no main focus, as it's simply just a group of different servants and masters who are all equally viable to win the fake Grail War. Though, I will say, what I thought was really weird is the apparent main protagonist of the series is only introduced in the after credits scene. So, not much to say on her as of yet, but I did like that they focused on the other masters and servants all the same. For example, I loved how we focused on familiar faces like Gilgamesh and Enkidu, which are 2 fan favorites and my personal favorites of the Babylonia anime, except in this series, Enkidu isn't a puppet, he's the real deal this time. So, maybe in the future we can get a little smooch action between the two, maybe? We also have Faldius, who has a super impressive showing, as he goes around and mercilessly shoots people into bloody pulps. He's the most like Kiritsugu or Kodomine, maybe like both of those combined, from the way his character is presented, his use of conventional weapons over magical ones, and how he's trying to find this other master in the war who is also using human puppets to control while he stays at a distance, all the while Faldius tries to hunt him down. Then there is Orlando Reeve, who almost looks like some American imperialist in outfit design, but is actually the police chief of Snowfield and believes that the government failed in their decision to advertise the fake Grail War to outsiders. Also, he has a super hot secretary. I absolutely call dibs. Also, just in general, I really enjoyed the introduction of Orlando Reeve. I thought it was amongst the best scenes in the special, and I think many people will love this character when the actual series comes out because he looks like a badass that takes no gruff. Speaking of, there is also Castor, who is like a chatterbox of sorts, but has a kind of charisma from his VA, Shotaro Morikubo, the man behind voices like Bartolomeo from One Piece, Shamil Volkov from Dr. Stone, and really just a lot of other roles. We even get to see the return of Waver Velvet, which, I'm just gonna say, which to me is always a fantastic sign of a good adaptation if Waver Velvet is anywhere to be seen within it. He was in Fate Zero, Lord Elmaloy, and now this. Both of those series being highly revered. There are other characters I feel like I have to wait and see on though, like Tyne Chelk, which is a cool name, who is I guess like a little girl and Gil's master. We also have Assassin, who is super badass, but we really only saw action sequences from her. And of course, some of the others like Berserker, but I am really eager to learn more about them because pretty much everyone they showed, I liked every single one of them, or at the very least, am more than interested to get to know more about them, which is a great sign. In terms of characters, I do think that Fate Strange Fake has the strongest cast since Fate Zero easily, and the strongest plot since Fate Zero easily. But you can be even stronger if you subscribe to the C Tactics, as I already have nearly, like 100 Fate videos on this channel. Also, I'm trying to get to 100,000 subs before the end of the year. Probably won't happen, sadly, but a man can try. So, if you haven't, please do subscribe, and look out for new content. Drop a like on the video.
それでも生きる道を選んでいたと思うよ。ウルクの民のためにね。
However, a big draw of the Fate series is its immaculate animation from studios like Ufotable for the Stay Night series, and of course, Cloverworks, who did Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia. This series is handled by the studio that brought you Fate Apocrypha, A1 Pictures. Obviously, super renowned studio and really known for its heavy use of contracted talent. I think Strange Fake in concept looks amazing and has some amazing looking scenes to back that up. For example, the fight between Gilgamesh and Enkidu as they both use the Gates of Babylon as swords and noble phantasms fly in the sky, and clash, exploding while the starry night is behind them, creating an insanely pleasing visual of both all at the destruction at hand and, as well, the beauty of the design of the series itself. The fights, for the most part, are actually pretty awesome and very, very solid. However, it was clear this anime took the budget away from a lot of other things because of it. For example, this scene here, where Chelk and Gil are walking in a natural cave formation that looks like something from a classic JRPG pixel game from the PS1 or PS2, it is both funny, kinda cute actually, and also a little baffling. Then we also have the character designs themselves that looks... a lot of people have said they kind of look low budget, but I don't think that clearly is it. It looks as if they just didn't do a lot of post-composite for this series, which I personally love, but that's a personal, subjective thing. While I think it's valid to not like an anime that looks like it's missing a couple layers of shading, I think it gives a lot of charm, artistic expression, and also a bit of grittiness not a lot of other Fate series have, if any. This is because with less shading and post-composite, it looks less sleek like other series do and looks more like, I don't know, like a 90s show, like Berserk 97 or Evangelion even, which I think brings a lot of weight to the darker side and in turn creates a feel that's more like Fate Zero, but also its unique thing. In my opinion, they should go with this art style going forward for A1's adaptations, if they can get away with it and tie up some of those loose ends, which is another thing worth considering. Even Babylonia's Episode 0 had really awful CGI animation and just missing some key frames and in-between frames at times. But when Babylonia proper came out, The series pretty much had no issue at all. In fact, we got amazing fights from it, like Ushiwakamaru's Noble Phantasm, and my beloved Quetzalcoatl summoning her inner pro wrestler. In other words, I think this is simply something we should pay attention to, but not write it off as an issue just yet. We have to wait for the full series. After all, Apocrypha, by some fans, is considered a pretty much solid series in terms of animation, which, yes, I know, contracted workers, but A1 still had their DNA all over that project, and now they clearly do here with Strange Fake, in my opinion. Overall, I think Fate Strange Fake has the potential to not just be on the level of Heaven's Feel, which in of itself puts it kind of near the tippy top, but I also think Strange Fake can become on the level of something like a Fate Zero. It's got all of the ingredients to make it, like Gilgamesh and my boyfriend Enkidu, Waver M. effing Velvet, Orlando Reeve and his hot secretary, and just so many more elements that remind you of Fate Zero, but clearly is striking its own path and not just being a Fate Zero wannabe. It's clearly going to be its own thing and takes inspiration from only the best of the Stay Night trilogy and its prequels. Will it live up to those expectations? Well, we'll just have to see, and I want to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think about Strange Fake? Did it impress you, or do you think it's yet another flop from the Fate franchise? I'd love to hear your feedback either way. If you haven't, consider becoming a patron. There you'll get access to my One Piece series, which I review each arc in full for the first time ever, and new content comes out every month. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.